So I've been testing barriers that can help stop slugs and snails getting into your potted plants for a few years now. I've tested pretty much all of them and I have a very good idea of which ones work best and which ones work worst. And in this video, I'm going to show you my top 5 barriers that can help you keep slugs and snails out of your potted plants. So like I said, I'm going to show you my top 5 slug and snail barriers, and I'm not just going to be repeating what I've heard other people say or have heard's good or have Googled online. I'm going to show you actual clips from experiments that I've already done, which have helped me work out what the best 5 barriers actually are. And if you're specifically interested in one of these type of barriers, I'll link you to a playlist at the end of this video. And in that playlist, you'll be able to see more detailed how I've tested each individual barrier, for example, copper or garlic spray or eggshells. So starting with number 5, Vaseline. Now this one does work slightly. Slugs don't find it a repellent as such, but they find it difficult to grip onto, so it makes overhangs and steep sides of pots difficult to climb up. But it doesn't work very well, and when it rains it will get less effective. So while it can help a bit, it's definitely not a long-term solution and you'll need to keep reapplying it. In 4th place, it's coffee grounds. Now these do work quite well, but they shouldn't be relied upon. Slugs do avoid them often. They add a bit of nutrition to the soil and they're easy to come by, but there are a couple of downsides. 1, it can make the soil too acidic if you use too much. And 2, and this is the big one, they stop working when it rains a few times, and of course that's when the slugs and snails come out. So again, not bad, but not consistent, and it definitely isn't going to be a reliable method when only used alone. And in 3rd place, I've got copper tape. This is probably the most popular barrier to stop slugs and snails getting up potted plants, but it's definitely not the best. It often gives slugs a little shock when they touch it, but not always. I've tested copper in many different ways, as you can see here, and have again found it to be unreliable when used without other methods. Some positives though are that it lasts a really long time and it's easy to combine with other barriers and repellents. Using a thicker copper tape or multiple thin ones together is going to create a better effect. So try not to just use a really thin little strip of copper which they can easily get across. And in 2nd place, I've got woolen pellets. This natural solution works surprisingly well, especially when dry. The slugs and snails really seem to find the fibres irritating to cross. It's also a natural material and it breaks down to feed the soil and works well as a mulch, helping retain moisture and prevent weeds. I've tested this in loads of different conditions and it holds up well. It's not perfect, but it's definitely one of the more reliable options to keep slugs and snails at bay. These first 4 I'd categorise as secondary barriers as they're not very reliable alone, and it's not just me that thinks that. For example, a recent RHS study in a garden realistic scenario found no reduction in slug damage from barriers made of copper tape, bark mulch, eggshells, sharp grit or woolen pellets. And in 1st place is a slug stand. These are fantastic for creating a small slug-free zone in your garden where you keep your most vulnerable plants to slugs and snails, for example, lettuce, hostas, dahlias, or many others. It's basically nature's own barrier. Just fill it up with water or salt water if you want extra protection. So, if you're particularly interested in one of the slug barriers I've talked about today, you can click on this link here where you can see in the playlist all of the different barriers and how I've tested them. You can also go on my website, stopslugs.com, pop your email address in, and then you'll be given a link to download a PDF, which is my complete guide to slug and snail prevention.